Welcome to Into the Desert, where we'll be having conversations about relevant issues with respect and without finger pointing. If you'd like to join the conversation, please fill out your comments below, but remember to keep it respectful. We would like to foster conversation and not division. So welcome back to Into the Desert. In previous videos, we've done a lot of talking about different topics using historical examples as a way of trying not to drive high feelings, high tensions, but based off of things that have happened recently with President Trump getting shot, Biden withdrawing from his presidential campaign, there's been a lot of talk about not demonizing our opponents. How can we not demonize our opponents while still talking about current issues and things that are important for this election and for future elections?
A big part of the problem is when we're in the middle of campaigns, you have person versus person, party versus party. And in those situations, there's a huge temptation to focus on the other candidate, the opposition candidate, and basically trash talk them, point out everything bad about them. And of course, that usually results in a reciprocal response, and it spirals in a very negative direction. The way to avoid that is to try as much as possible to talk about the issues rather than the candidates. So you can say candidate A's policy is a bad policy and it's doing horrible damage to the country. That's acceptable rhetoric. To say candidate A is a terrible person and he's bad, however true that may be, there's been plenty of bad politicians in history that have actually done a pretty good job in their roles because who they are and what policies they support are often different. So we need to focus mainly more on policies rather than on personalities. There's only one type of person I can't talk to, and that's the person who thinks that if you didn't agree with them the first time, maybe if they raise their voice a little louder, they'll agree with them now. The yellers are people that, if you come back to me with a louder voice, I can guarantee you I will back off because I'm not interested in shouting matches or yelling at people. But if you want to have a good, reasonable discussion, I've had some good, reasonable discussions that have, severe disagreements, but you walk away, if nothing else, at least a little bit better understanding of why the other side holds the opinion they do. You probably won't agree with them, but you may find out that they have some considerations that you hadn't considered, and you now have to factor into your overall argument. But that's true discussion. That's true democratic discussion, where everybody gets their side aired. I mean, if you look at the Constitutional Convention, there were severe disagreements, and they got very heated at times. And when they got heated, they would just, okay, we'll table this subject for a while. We'll go off onto something else. So, and then they would come back to it, and sometimes they had to come back quite a few times before they could actually get to a resolution. And it was a resolution that was a compromise. It wasn't nobody got everything they wanted. We can all point to the Constitution and say, there's things in there that I think shouldn't have been there. But one thing that they did is they got a Constitution, and that Constitution has worked quite well for the country for coming up 250 years.
Yeah, and you can see similar things occurring on college campuses over the last few years as speakers like Ben Shapiro come and have these open conversations with students. And it really amazes me at his ability to remain calm and collected as people who vehemently disagree with him protest, yell, scream, chant at his speeches, and he just calmly waits for them to finish what they're doing and then have that meaningful conversation. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes the person he's talking to is just there to rant and isn't going to listen and isn't going to let that meaningful conversation happen. But every once in a while, you get that person who really has a meaningful conversation and is able to put his beliefs or her beliefs out there in a way that, right or wrong, draws a conversation, brings a broader view to what's happening, and helps people be more informed on the issues. Thank you for listening to Into the Desert, exploring the wilderness of thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your comments below. Remember, be civil. We want to foster discussion and not division.